Hey there, what's up guys? This is Joe from Joe's Corner, and this is going to be kind of a set review of what came out in the new set since I didn't ever get around to doing a pre-release primer. So we're just going to kind of check out some of the cards, what's been in development, what we've seen. There's been a Masters tournament, I think in Italy. I probably butchered that, but so there's some kind of cool stuff for us to go on, cool deck list to have seen. So that's kind of influence what I think about some of the cards. But I'm just gonna go through the entire all 50 cards of the set. It's gonna take a little bit, but if you want to hear my thoughts. I'm gonna start with obviously Angel Zeus. Hopefully I put these into okay order so that they make some sense. But and I'm not gonna read through the whole card. It'll just take up way too much time. So Angel Zeus is obviously like a really great card. I don't think she's going to see a lot of play because white blue isn't really going to be too popular. I think her not being able to making your cards not be able to be banished is going to be a nice ability to have, and along with the kind of Dark Alice decks that is probably going to be seen play and has already seen play. I think she could be a popular choice, but I just don't really see her white blue coming into effect. Obviously a 1-drop 4/4 flyer is really good though, so who knows, we could see her. But as a full disclaimer as well, all of these cards are pretty amazing. I don't think they printed, in my opinion, I don't think they printed a single bad card in this set. But we'll get to that, maybe one or two. But I think everything is pretty strong, and some stuff is just obviously a little bit stronger than others. But so next card we have is Adam and Fairy Tale Land. This card I wasn't too enthused about, but I think a lot of people are going to be playing Adam in order to get the ability to just have this in your graveyard and turn on Dark Alice and all that, and anything that might come from those kind of effects. The Rune 5 is really good. Once you get there, obviously, he becomes a really cheap 2-cost 1400 Resonator. The Drain is amazing, so who knows? He could definitely see play, and Adam could be seeing a comeback with that kind of a deck idea. As Alice Zeus Incarnate, I think she's pretty good. I think a lot of the kind of the cheese build that has been discussed about the blue-white edition, and I'm probably going to butcher some names, but so that is obviously makes her a giant, I think she gets 20,000 attack or something. So all I need to do is hit attack with that. Obviously, I actually think her abilities, if you have a Resonator Chant Edition Magic Stone in your graveyard, she gains a bunch of keywords, +2/+2. The Drain is great, Eternal is great, Flying great, Swiftness is great. All the other stuff is just gravy. But and then the 5-cost ability will be, could definitely be useful if you have your other your Dark Alice Resonator, and have access to all those colors anyways. So I think she could be really strong. I think there's going to be I think we've already seen deck ideas based around getting the Dark Alice, getting all of that Resonator Chant Edition Magic Stone in your graveyard, and having all this stuff, kind of come online and do its stuff. So I think she's a great card. Anger Boda. Originally, I wasn't too excited about this. I do like that it kills Rest of J Resonators, it kills Addition, and you gain 1,000 life. I don't think you're going to hard cast this a whole lot unless you're maybe playing Brunhild, in which case you'll just cheat it in, which isn't hard casting anyways. But I think it's a great effect, and for 3 costs, I think it is a pretty good effect. I've realized. Addition removal is nice. Destroy Rest of J Resonator is very nice. It's a nice giant. Brunhild Ultimate Devotee, 600 2-cost. I don't think the Faith mechanic and her abilities are going to come into play too much. Like, I don't think there's going to be a whole bunch of decks that kind of try and run that. And these are all kind of packages. You have to realize that they buff certain kind of decks. You want the Adam, Dark Alice, the regular Alice in a certain, like, they all have to go together. Otherwise, or the kind of optimal play is to bundle those together. So Brunhild kind of bundles in with Odin, and they bundle in with his rune card. So I don't think that is a great mechanic. We will see if somebody can kind of create a deck that really shines with that. I think her only real purpose is to make your ruler make her astral, and then use that to utilize Odin. So that's why I don't feel like it's as good. Next we have Dark Alice, Rabbit Princess. She is probably one of the cards I think people have been using the most, mainly because she's just amazing. She has a bunch of defense. She's quick cast. You can't target cards in your graveyard. Your opponent can't target her cards in your graveyard. They can't be removed from the game. Her entry ability is actually insane. It allows you to filter out cards in your hand that you don't need. It allows you to fuel your graveyard in order to get her effect, which makes you produce any color will, which is one of the really, really great, she is pretty insane and probably one of the best cards in the set. Like, obviously it's a little bit of an overreach, but just in the Clusters Only Master format that we just saw, I think she was in every single deck except for the first place deck, which we'll get to in a little bit about what that is kind of doing. But she turns like, I think she's just pretty amazing. All of her abilities are good. I think just for the draw a card, discard a card, and it just lets you cycle through your deck so much faster and get to anything you might need, or anything you don't want. Gungnir, the True Spear. This is a chant/rune. You may pay 3 less to play this card if you control Odin. You may pay 4 less to do Judgment this turn. This is why I don't think that package is that great. Like, I think there's a lot to go into it. Odin, I actually think, is pretty awesome. I think he has a lot of really good potential. But Gungnir, so obviously it just works with Odin, and you'll have to. I think there's a lot of like Odin, flip, Brunhild. It's like this whole procedure, but I don't know how strong it'll be. I haven't personally faced it yet, so yeah. There's Odin, Supreme God. He's a 6 cost. I think his Faith ability is really strong. Destroy all magic stones. If your ruler is astral, heal it. Now you kind of have to pair this up in order to get the full usage out of it. You have to pair it up with giving everything you have eternal, which there's a card further in the set called Athena's Love that's able to do that. I think it gives entities you control eternal. So there's a huge big combo that kind of Odin is able to, you slam them down, and if you have the combo, you destroy all your opponent's resonators and you keep all of yours. But there's a lot to go into it, and we'll see if it is solid. Odin's a great card anyways. I mean, like I said, all these cards are great. It's just some have more utility, and they are better designed to do stuff in the deck than others. Like, Odin is a card that depends on 4 other card combos, just a little bit. So I am not too big of a fan of him, but he is a great card. Light of Keranos. This card's pretty crazy. You get to deal X 100 damage, so you choose to number J resonators, and you basically can dump your hand for one will, and then you get to draw into all your other cards, which I think is a great cycle mechanic. I really like the damage. I think it's pretty solid. You can kind of see where they're packaging these cards into what deck. So this is going into that Alice, Dark Alice, white blue deck that does all that stuff. Messenger of Odin, 400 white, produces black. I actually see this is one of the guys that I think is really cool. I think his Faith ability is super cool, and I think he's a solid card. I don't know. You kind of have to run that whole Brunhild thing, which I don't know if Odin, that whole Odin combo is gonna go anywhere. But I do think this card is really great. I like him a lot. Desert Miner. This card is another one that I think is going to see a lot of play in the whole. There's a whole ISIS combo that lets you produce a bunch of additions, and those additions can then produce will. So this is part of that. I think this is a great one. The nice thing about a lot of these, I think the best resonator will producers are the ones that can dodge removal, and this is one of the ones. So if they want to destroy it, you just banish it and you get a moon, which is what you want to be doing anyways for the ISIS deck. So I think that's the best part about this card, is that it comes in, it lets you produce that will, and then it just jogs off and you get a cool moon addition. So Godly Aura is a great one. I think it's probably one of the key components to the ISIS deck that you kind of need to put together. Drawing a card is amazing, and then dealing your 400 damage is going to be really nice once you've kind of stacked up 3 moons. At 3 moons, you're dealing 1200 damage, which will kill mostly anything. It hits J resonators. With the ISIS combo, you get a lot of moons anyways. Just on Searcher, you're getting 2 moons. This, hopefully will get you another one because you're going to play it with Nyarlathotep. So you'll have 1200 right there. So I think this is a great, in your rune deck, it's amazing. Out of your rune deck, it's also amazing. So yeah, it's really a solid card. This is the Isis, Last of the Ascendants. It's a kind of the combo I was talking about. She is really good. A lot of people have been brewing her. A lot of people are thinking about, how to create this Isis deck. Her abilities are great. You search your deck for a fire resonator with total cost 2 or less. If it's Nyarlathotep, which you're always going to be searching pretty much, you put a fire moon edition token into the field, and then she gets to create will with those fire moon editions. And the great thing about this is that it makes Nyarlathotep cost way less. She herself is an amazingly costed card. First strike, 8/8 with Bane. Searching your deck for Fire Resonator is amazing anyways. She's got the whole package. There's nothing about her that's bad, and everything about her is good. The only issue and the only issue I've thought about with her is that if she is destroyed, then you lose access to your will producing. And that's just a little upsetting. But even without that, I think she is amazing. Excuse the clicky on the keyboard. Sorry about that. Nyarlathotep is obviously what you're getting. She herself is also amazing. When she first came out, I kind of poo-pooed the Banish 9 Moon editions and one-shot, mechanic, but you can get it surprisingly, it's not as hard as you would think. And being able to, do that into an empty board or something is really great. Everything about her banishing her moon editions is really awesome. Preventing the next damage that would be dealt to her, dealing 800 damage to target J/Resonator, and then having her come down with swiftness is awesome. She ramps up your moon editions, which is really great. Her awakening is pretty awesome. So that whole package is going to be incredibly strong, I think. There's a lot of routes I think you can go with it. It kind of lends itself to either a really aggro fast build or some kind of laid back control variant that kind of ramps up the first turn or couple turns, and then you get to just spend a whole bunch of will. Play stuff like Ushua and like hard casting giants and stuff like that. The other nice thing about her is that even Oscar has created like an Isis Alter Layla deck. So there's a lot of different flexibilities with that whole package. Definitely interested to see where that goes. Next, Lady Huang. I personally have been brewing Fushi, and I've played around with him a little bit. I think he's going to be really great. Lady Huang, I have not been too impressed by her, but I think she's amazing. I think quick cast, I've already been thinking of like playing her at the end of your opponent's turn, resting everything and swinging in next turn, and they don't have any blockers. I think the Dragon Emblem Vermilion is absolutely amazing with her, and it makes her a whole lot stronger, but it is very difficult to get the Dragon Emblem Vermilion. So I personally think Fushi is actually has a very big threat, and I think he got a lot of really cool support. So I'm obviously going to be, hyping up these cards more too. But Lord of Vermilion is a crazy cool one. If you control fire and red dragon emblems, you combine them into a Vermilion, which turns on Lady Huang's last ability. His ability is he prevent all the damage dealt to your resonators, and then they gain that much attack. And he deals 800 damage to each J resonator at the beginning of the main phase, which is absolutely brutal. It's a giant board wipe, and they just become massive. Like with his ability, with the Vermilion Dragon Emblem, he's gonna be a 2000 flyer, and yeah, there's some really cool stuff with Lord Vermilion. He has to stick for a turn, but once he sticks for a turn, he's pretty insane. Surtur should have been back with Isis. All the giants, we've got kind of a cycle of giants, red, white, blue, yada, yada, yada. He's one of the stronger giants, in my opinion, especially with the Isis package. He is crazy. You discard him, put 2 Fire Moon Edition tokens, and then he deals 800 damage, or 400 damage multiplied by the number of Moon Editions. Usually it'll be 800 damage. A lot of the time it'll be a lot more, like around 1600 easily with how that deck works. So you don't really get to hard cast him too much, but I think with all the Moon Editions, you definitely could, and his swiftness is amazing. The barrier is amazing, and he gets to do his entry ability, when he enters. All the giants have that kind of templating, so he's really, really solid. Definitely, I think probably like the second or third best giant. Tiny Fire and Water Dragon, back to Fushi. He's a pretty solid one of the mana producers. I think there's some that are better, some that are worse than others. I think he has a lot of potential to be one of the stronger ones. I like that he gets flying and swiftness when you control both the fire and water dragon emblems. And I think he's late in the game. Once you start getting your emblems up, he becomes a pretty big threat. Excuse me. Wrath of the Flame God is basically you get reduced fire if you have Genshi, and so like if you have Genshi, you'll have the dragon emblems, and this will cost one red will. Destroy target non-magic stone entity. That's a really solid one cost ability. It destroys J rulers. It destroys everything except magic stones, obviously. But it's just it is it's not quick cast, so it's not crazy broken, but it's one of this really, really solid keys to especially in your rune deck. It's amazing. Next we have Genshi Tensen. He's the crux of the Fushi deck. You pretty much have to put him together in with that. I think he's awesome. Getting plus 400 damage on your fire sources is amazing. Getting the red emblem and the water emblem is awesome because they stick on there permanently, and if you keep him out for just till the end of your turn, he draws you a card, which is really nice. One of my the combo that I really like is dropping Genshi and then activating Sandstorm, because it'll board wipe for 600 instead of the usual 200, and I think that's a really solid turn 3 play. So I'm a big fan of Genshi Tensen. I'm a big fan of the Fushi deck that you can make with these cards. Next we'll get into the machines. Arthur is a super solid card in the Arthur. If you have Arthur, which I think is kind of, in my opinion, you're either going to run Arthur or Loki, most likely. Arthur with Arthur is a really strong. He has the ability to, at the beginning of your turn, basically your main phase, you get to remove 5 counters and you just draw free cards and you get those counters back. And it's kind of on a loop. It's pretty crazy. He's just a 600 regularly. It's really nice that he restocks his counters. You can play Deus Ex Machina, take away 5 counters, and he'll get his 5 counters back. So, stuff like Lancelot, you can take 5 counters from Arthur, and then he'll refuel that at the beginning of the main phase. So I think he is really solid. He has a lot of flexibility in machines, and Clockwork Girl is one of the stronger one of the stronger will resonators, will producing resonators. She gets 4 +1/+1 counters, which is kind of nice because she's not a 400 and you can do stuff with those counters. Water and wind magic stones is a pretty decent combo. I really like that if she dies, she still gets abilities. You get to look at your top deck, and if it's a machine resonator, you draw it, which in machines you'll almost always have. That's back to Angel Zeus. That shouldn't be right. Anyways, I think Clockwork Girl is just a really strong card. And then next, Machine Core. He is a 5/5 +1/+1 counters. I wasn't a big fan of him. I think that you need Deus Ex Machina to kind of activate him, turn him online, and I think at that point, I don't know. I'm not a big fan. If I wanted the counters, you can just play Clockwork Girl. I guess you can't play that many of them, but I think there's other good machines out there. The good thing is that directive counter can be placed by Deus Ex Machina, who I think is obviously amazing. His 2 cost, super cheap. He when he enters the field, you remove any number of counters from entities you control, and you put them all on him, and then you double the counters. So that's amazing. If he has 10 or more counters, it gains flying, eternal, and you can remove counters to put other counters or different weird counters with a name of your choice on another target entity you control. So this gives you a lot of interesting shenanigans. You can kind of buff stuff. You can move his counters around. It's just really nice. The Flying Eternal is absolutely amazing. He's a bitch to get rid of because a lot of the times he's going to be like a 20/20 or he's going to be a 1800 attack defense resonator. So he's going to be huge. And being able to, transfer counters over gives you like combat tricks. So like, let's say, you swing in with an Arthur and they don't want to block it. You can buff that, you can throw a bunch of counters on him and he'll do a bunch of damage. So has a bunch of really cool shenanigans you can do. I haven't personally played him, but he's probably the reason why machines are getting so strong. And obviously I talked about the machine deck. It got first in the Italian Masters. And yes, it was cluster only, but I still think that machines is gonna definitely be a huge contender. It got a lot of really great support, and it's really strong now. So mainly because of this card. The Final Act is a really nice card with Deus Ex. It's basically a 1-cost blue. You get to destroy target non-magic stone, non-machine entity with total cost equal to the number of counters removed this way. And I think that's still really solid. You kind of nerfs your Deus Ex a little bit, but it's really nice for how cheap this card is. So now we're getting into kind of this Loki deck. What he got, Fenrir Final Form is one of his support cards. I think it's a really solid card. When it goes to the graveyard and you have Perfect Loki out, it'll come into the field, which is amazing. You can produce black to Judgment with Loki, which is part of the getting the Perfect Loki combo out, and that's really strong. So I think it's definitely a very solid card. Flying 12, 1200, 1200 is great. Neo Ragnarok is part of the Loki combo. I definitely think it's one of the most definitive finishers I'd say we've had in Force of Will. It's up there with like all the angel shenanigans and the sacred beast, stuff like that. It's a 2-cost. You get to put any number of giant resonators with different names from outside the game into the field, which is amazing. Getting all 6-7 giants out, especially these giants in this set, is absolutely amazing. And Perfect Loki himself is insane. The only caveat to this card is that you have to have Perfect Loki to play it. Otherwise, you won't. The divinity is infinity. It's not 8. I thought it was an 8, but it is infinity. So it definitely, you need that Perfect Loki card resonator. Shout of Kronos is another one of the really good will producing resonators. He has Barry, which I think is kind of the strongest part of him. Protecting yourself from removal is kind of the reason you put these guys out there. So yeah, Perfect Loki is clearly, I think, another of the best cards in the set. I think his combo is it's still absolutely insane. A lot of people have talked about like kind of you can cheese it out. You can, oh, you can get off by turn 4. You can get off by turn 3 this way if you just, get this perfect hand. Even without all that, this card is insane. The combo is still insane. You can stall the game out until turn 7 and 8 when you've exhausted all their options to counter it, and then just plop it down anyways to win the game. His card, he as a resonator, not even a J Ruler or anything, is absolutely amazing. Being able to deal to board wipe for for -7, -8, -9, however many cards you have in the graveyard is absolutely insane. He is quick cast, which is insane, and he has a stat line that is quite frankly pretty insane. I think it's one of the best, one of the really just top resonators they've ever printed, especially when you consider the Loki combo and bringing all your giants on. So definitely get excited for him. It is a he, isn't it? Loki. It's crazy. Acolyte Shiva, I think the Shiva combo has potential, but I don't think it's that crazy. Acolyte Shiva is one of the will producers. I don't really like her that much. I think, I don't know. There's not really... My issue with her is that you don't need to produce red in the kind of deck that you want to put together that has her. Banishing her and getting something +3/+3 is really nice, and that is a very solid ability. So I will give her that. But consider that the red, you shouldn't be playing it to pay for Shiva's costs, and you shouldn't really be paying it for Berserker Chimimi, which is the only two kind of options you have. Bastet, I wasn't a big fan of her when I first saw her, but I will give that she's definitely grown on me, and I think she's really solid. I think being able to return J Resonators and stuff to your hand is actually pretty crazy, especially with the Kaguya card and other really strong entry ability cards. So I think there's a lot of synergy with Bastet and Kaguya. There's a lot of synergy with Bastet and Dark Alice that I think I saw in one of the decks. And so I think she is more solid than I gave her credit for. And I think she's definitely grew on me, and I see her potential now, more of a potential. Berserker Chimimi, I thought was really cool. I love that she has 1,000 defense. She's pretty strong. She gains Eternal during your turn, which is great. And, you can attack multiple times, which is actually really nice. Being able to pump her up with red would be amazing if you had access to it, which is why, I do think that the previous, Mimi Tribe was good. I still think maybe there's definitely a combo here with Chimimi and sacrificing the Mimi Tribe or covering her. There's just some cool stuff, but I don't know. I'm not a fan of her as much as I wanted to be. But Shiva, I actually think, has a lot of really crazy potential. So in order to cast her, or cheat her in, I should say, you need to rest 3 recovered Mimi tribes you control. One of those could be your ruler, if you're playing Chimimi, but then you will not call stone, obviously. When she enters the field, you destroy 3 other J Resonators at random, which is fairly nice. Definitely could be nice. It does count your own Resonators, obviously, but it bypasses stuff like Barrier. Whenever she destroys a Resonator, you get a +++ counter, so she'll be an 11/11, which is pretty solid. Cheating her in is a little bit difficult. You also need a Wind Magic Stone and a Fire Magic Stone, so you need that Mimi Tribe Will Fixer. But yeah, I think there's a little bit of potential here, but I'm not a huge fan of her. Her kind of chant rune support is you play 2 less space card if you control Shiva. You draw a card for each Resonator put into a graveyard from the field this turn. So the ideal combo is you play Shiva, she enters the field, you play relief through destruction, and you get to draw 3 cards, hopefully, if you hit all your destruction. But Kaith Sith, another, this is probably, I think, one of the worst cards in the deck, in the set. Like, I just think Bastet is a nice idea, but Bastet is good for the ability to bounce stuff back into your hand. And even though this enters and you get a 1/1 Wind Cat Resonator token, I think it's bad. Bastet, I think, is good for that ability, not good for her buffing Cat's ability. So, and I don't think that's a viable deck. It's a fun deck. It would be a fun deck. But I don't know how viable it is, and that's my big issue with it. Calico Cat Shikigami is, having I still have the same issue as the other cat. When she dies, you get a 1/1 Wind Cat Resonator token, which is nice. She produces white, which is actually super important for the Kaguya, and for a deck that wants to play something like Dark Alice. I think she is actually really, really handy. But I don't like her ability as much. So, Chant of Tranquility, I'm actually going to go, I'll just do this real quick. So, I think this is amazing. If you have Kaguya, it bounces Kaguya back into your hand. It tucks their whole graveyard away, which is really nice if you get it in response to them trying to resolve a Dark Alice. Is really awesome. And you ramp up a stone, which is super amazing. Kaguya herself is obviously amazing. You pay 1 less to play her if you have Rune 2, which is fairly easy. She cancels target spell, 7/7 stat line. If you control a really crazy amount of Resonators, Magic Stones, and 5 cards in your graveyard, which is really, really difficult. The difficult thing isn't making sure you're 5 cards in your graveyard or you have 5 Resonators. It's having the 7 Magic Stones, sitting on 7 Magic Stones, and having all that other stuff. But if you do have that stuff, then if you deal damage, you draw 7 cards and recover 7 Magic Stones. So it's absolutely crazy. But ignore that last ability. I don't think it will come on too much. I don't know how good people can, are at maintaining and getting to that board state. Obviously, if you do, then you can't let them touch you. But she's just amazing. She's amazing for her other ability, and she's amazing for her cancel. And people are playing her with the altar decks, so that if you have an altar on 3, you kind of have a free cancel in your back pocket. If you're just casting her for 2 costs and cancels is great. Bastet is obviously really good. You bounce her back and you get more cancels. Her Rune, Chant of Tranquility, is amazing because it ramps you up a stone and you get to tuck their graveyard. I think you can also tuck your graveyard. Let me see real quick. On the bottom of their owner's deck. So you can really fix up that ability to draw 7 cards. But yeah, she is amazing. So definitely one of the top Resonators I think they printed in the set. Trow, Giant Destruction, he is a really nice one. You get to ramp up a stone. You search your deck for Resonator till it costs 1 and put it in your hand. It's not. I still think he's not one of the better Giants, just because I feel that it's kind of expensive for what he does, but it is really good what he does. So I'd say definitely saw one of the. I mean, all the Giants are fairly good. Let's get into kind of the black, the darkness Resonator stuff. Athena's Love is really solid. With Athena, it's amazing. Gaining Eternal, all your entities gaining Eternal is absolutely amazing. Choosing Corrupt is also amazing. Your opponent banishes a Resonator, so it's a 1-cost black removal from your rune deck, from your hand, even if you control Athena, which is kind of the idea. But it's a great card. Fallen Angel, I think, is the best will producing Resonator they've printed. You just see people playing him not even for his will fixing, because the combo obviously is you tap, you banish him, you take him from your deck, and then you pay 200 life and you give something minus 400 defense. And what why he is so great is that there's multiple reasons. Well, there's just one reason. He kills stuff. He kills stuff that's 400 life or less. But the great thing is that he hoses your other opponent's will fixing resonators. He replenishes himself because you draw him again, and he's one cost, and he's a 400. He has just the whole package. He is probably the best. Like, people are running him just for his ability to kill stuff. And 200 life is so cheap. It's so cheap. And he replaces himself. He's insane. He's so broken. When I faced off against this like the first time and had it played against me, and then he just sits in the graveyard ready to kill something, it's like, that's so broken. He replaced himself. Oh, I hated it. So definitely, I think probably the best will fixer. Invitation to Purgatory is a crazy solid card. I feel like getting your mana back for playing it is really dumb. I don't like that. I obviously think it's really, really good. You get to pretty much put Satan into your removed area. The cool thing is that I think if you have 2 Satans, you can put both of them in, or do you need to pay? I don't know if you need to play red or black for Satan. We'll check him in the next card. But you get to put anything into your graveyard, and then you get to put another thing into your graveyard, and you get to produce 2 will, and it's pretty much free. It's pretty crazy. I think it's amazingly solid and just a great card. And Satan is a really, really interesting. I think he's super solid, and I think a deck that kind of fits him in with a lot of the paying life, like the previous card, the Fallen Angel, is just amazing with that combo. We have Lich right now. So Lich clearly is also really solid. Choosing Harvest and Corrupt is pretty great. I think he's a nice card. I think people haven't really played him, but I also think that he is. I think he is really underrated. I'll say that much, and I think he has a lot of potential in with Athena. Without Athena, I don't think he is that strong. But Lucifer, I think is a really my issue with Lucifer is that I think the CR I don't think is that clear about what constitutes the amount of life you lost this turn, what that exactly means. Somebody else can maybe correct me or tell me if I'm wrong. I've heard this from Oscar mainly about how judges are kind of thinking that they're ruling that only counts for cards that say you lose 400 life, or so it doesn't count for paying life, which to me seems like the card itself tells you what should be amount of life you lost this turn, which is paying life. I think paying life should also activate with paying life, just because otherwise the design of the card is really dumb. It's just a dumb card if it doesn't work that way. If it does work that way, it's an amazing card and is pretty insane. But if his last ability doesn't work on paying life, I think it's a dumb card. If that's not to say that I think it should work on damage you take. It shouldn't return that, because that's absolutely insane and doesn't make any sense personally. It's weird. You guys can kind of chime in and see what you think about Lucifer. It's a weird card, and I think they need to, if it's not clarified, I think they need to clarify it in the CR. Onlooking Vampire, he should have been back with kind of Athena and that crowd, but I think he's just okay. It's producing the green is nice, but I think the idea that people are going with is that they're just using Altar to get out Athena anyways, or they're using Altar to get out Dark Alice, and then she's producing all the mana will that they need. So Onlooking Vampire, I haven't seen any decks yet, and I don't think he's really needed to produce that green. And his ability is cool, but I don't think it's that worth it. Yeah. Satan is the card, I think he is deceptively powerful. I think he is a card that slots in and comes in at has a really, really strong turn 5 play. You put any number of resonators whose combined total cost equal to or less than the number of fall encounters, I think is really actually pretty crazy. kind of filling up your graveyard and then getting to play those off of Satan is crazy. Making your opponent banish like a lot of their board is also really crazy. I think he is super solid, and just removing cards from the game, paying life, losing life, using cards that pay and lose life is a lot of them, and I think it's really kind of it's a very, very good ability. Like it works off of altar shenanigans. It works off of that, the black rune that we went over a couple cards ago. You bruise red and black. You get to search twice. So you can search, put one Satan into your moved area, search, put another Satan into your moved area. And then both those Satans start accumulating counters, and it just gets crazy. I think it just gets crazy. I really, really think he is a very solid play, and just an inevitability, really. On turn 5, they're gonna hit a big Satan, and it's gonna be kind of a monster. So, yeah. Sephiroth, the Blueprint of Life. It's a great card. You choose Harvest or Corrupt. If you have Athena, you'll choose both, which is the great part about it. I really like that this produces that it can produce will. It has a lot of like multifunction stuff. So Athena, here she is. Enter, choose Harvest or Corrupt. You recover up to 3 Magic Stones, which is, in my opinion, pretty broken. If you use Corrupt, rest all Magic Stones, which you'll get to choose both. The rest all Magic Stones is very dangerous, and it's maybe not as dangerous as I originally thought, because you can kind of bank will, which is nice. But I do think that it's just very solid. Rune 1 is really easy to get. Removing all cards in your opponent's graveyard from the game is great unless they have Dark Alice. But the great thing about her is that if you bring her in off of an altar, like, she gets to recover your stones for basically free. You've paid however much you've paid, you get to recover those stones without even paying for her actual cost. So, for example, you could tap your 3 stones, play sack for Athenia, and then recover the 3 stones, tap 3 more for a total of 6 stones. That's a lot of banked will you have there. Just like, I think 1 more and you can play Garda Loki and stuff like that. So just pretty crazy. I think she's one of the stronger cards we've seen. There's going to be a lot of shenanigan decks with altars and playing Athenias and stuff. She's going to be really annoying. So Garda Loki, I think, is probably like another of the best cards that they've printed. There's a lot of controversy on this card. Some people think it's been misprinted. Some people think it's supposed to work one way, it's supposed to work another way. I'll just say, in my opinion, the templating leads me to believe that you destroy target J/Resonator with his discard ability. I will say that, there's a lot of, we kind of went over this, I think, both on the podcast, and Colin's going to come out with a big video. I don't know if he already has at this point. But basically, it seems like what they're going to do for big events are they're going to play this as if it has the same entry ability as its discard ability. Obviously, you should check with your head judge, check with some of the judges who are there to make sure that's how it will work for your tournament. But he's just crazy. I think he's another card to kind of combat the Perfect Loki shenanigans. Being able to destroy Perfect Loki is great for before they are able to pay their for their rune. So really solid. And that was actually the last card, so just ignore that Lich. He was never there. Yeah, that's pretty much set review. I know it was kind of long, pretty exhausting. Hope you guys got through it okay, and enjoyed it, since I didn't get to do any of the primer stuff. But I enjoyed making it. It actually wasn't as, it's pretty cool. A lot of the set is pretty crazy. I think a lot of the cards all kind of jumble up together, which is kind of nice. A lot of them are way too powerful. All of these cards could be toned down to just another little power, little bit lower power level. But I think it's a fun set. I like excuse me, I like how every ruler really got some good support. Like, if they had been getting this level of support throughout the entire cluster, I think we would be in a much better situation. Like, even Atom has reasons to see play now, just because of the Atom resonator and, you know, a couple other stuff you can put in with them. But so pretty much my thoughts on the, you know, on the set. Let me know, you know, what you guys think, and yeah, I'll see you guys next time.